Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this press conference held by CUFC, the Chicago United Families Coalition, along with CARE Chicago. CUFC is a new organization whose information can be found on cufc.us. I'm joined here today by a cross-section of Chicago, any way you look at it. We have African Americans, Latino Americans, white Americans, Arab Americans, Jewish Americans, Christian Americans, Muslim Americans. We're all here together, physicians, lawyers, activists, educators, elected officials, to repeat and echo the same message: hands off Chicago. This is about us standing to what I would call the de-Americanization of this country by someone who doesn't understand its fundamental principles and is trying to change the very political and social culture of this country because of his own ego and his own personal ambition, to render it subservient to that, starting by punishing those areas of America that he feels did not vote for him and did not stand with his own political campaign. We are talking about the weaponization of our government tax-funded agencies, including ICE and including DHS and including the National Guard, which legally is only supposed to descend on a state if there are one of three factors. There is an external threat, a natural disaster, or a request from the executive of that state, the governor, none of which exist in Illinois or Chicago at the moment. As a matter of fact, both the governor and the mayor have warned against the presence of this politicized force in our city right now. What we are seeing is an hyper-militarization of our streets. We are seeing men and women in full military gear with rifles bum rushing our streets and our residential areas and our places of work in order to terrorize individuals who live and work here. I'll say this in conclusion before I introduce my colleagues. As a Muslim American, we've seen this before. For 20 years, we've been the canary in the coal mine, where they would look at the real and existing threat of, say, ISIS or Al-Qaeda, but then make the misguided, broad paintbrush generalization that if they do wrong, then all Muslims should be looked at. And our lives have been defined by this mischaracterization. And today, we're hearing talk about these different drug groups and criminal gangs, but very easily this sway is made to paintbrush broadly the entire immigrant community. And we're here to stand up against that. I want to invite to the podium now somebody who's been at the forefront of fighting for our communities, Alderman Byron Sixio Lopez of the 25th Ward.
Thank you. Good morning. Buenos dias. It's a great honor to be here with you with this amazing coalition of Chicagoans that are fighting to protect our most vulnerable, protect our families, our immigrant communities, trans communities, our most vulnerable communities that are under attack during this time. I want to start by thanking all the rapid responders, all the community that has come together to protect the community. I want to be especially thank you to the labor faith leaders and the coalition, the Chicago United Families Coalition, for coming together in a critical time. I want to describe just what we're living on right now in our communities. We saw how a few weeks ago one of our neighbors, Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, was assassinated by ICE. Lied then about the circumstances, only for us to see the video footage of the Chicago Police Department that shows that clearly there was no threat to these officers. Now we have a father who was trying to get to his two young girls who he was the only provider for, that now is gone, is dead because of a traffic stop. Traffic stops should never be a death sentence, and the due process, it is the law, and is what we are fighting for. Today we also are mourning the multiple attacks on our community. Just this last weekend, we saw in this last weekend how these Gestapo operations are destroying our communities using tear gas, rubber bullets, and excessive force in neighborhoods like Brighton Park, that in 39th and Kedzie saw the deployment of force. A woman got shot. Yet again, ICE lied on the facts on someone who posed no threat, yet now was a victim of gunfire, live ammunition, and the deployment of terror on families. We've seen children abandoned in their vehicles when the parents get taken by ICE, traumatized. Many calls in our schools about panic attacks, children that are left with their parents that are traumatized and left without resources. That's why Chicago stands up, because we see the deployment of force. Right now we see that we are going to fight in the courts, in the streets, and in our legislative bodies with everything we have. And that's why we have this powerful coalition that has formed to give no inch to fascism in our country. No inch. That we gotta hold the line for democracy, for human rights, constitutional rights, and Chicago is fighting back. Chicago is fighting back for our families. We're in war with no one. There's no war in Chicago. The war zones that are trying to be created by the Trump regime are rejected by Chicagoans. And we reject the attempts to incarcerate elected officials like Jesse Fuentes, if the governor and the mayor. We reject dictators, we got no kings, and we invite us to come to be part of this coalition of people fighting for each other and showing up for one another. So thank you so much. I wanna thank everybody once again for the fights on the ground. I will continue to fight. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has been a national voice standing up against this militarized authoritarian threat to our cities and the American people. We have with us this morning Deputy Mayor for Chicago for Immigrant and Refugee Rights, Beatriz Ponce de Leon.
Good morning. I'm Beatriz Ponce de Leon, Deputy Mayor for Immigrant, Migrant, and Refugee Rights for the city. I'm the daughter of Mexican immigrants, and I'm a lifelong Chicagoan, and it is an honor to be in this role, in this moment, with Mayor Brandon Johnson and the Johnson administration. We know that our job is to serve and protect all Chicagoans, and we are committed as a city to make sure that our immigrant and refugee communities are welcomed here, are protected here, and can make a life here. Recently, the mayor has signed 3 executive orders using his executive authority to make sure that we are doing what we can as a city to protect our immigrant communities. The first one made firm that we will continue to uphold our welcoming city ordinance. Chicago police will not cooperate with any immigration law enforcement. They also cannot intervene, but they are not assisting, they are not becoming an extension of ICE or Border Patrol. The second executive order makes clear that our police will uphold people's right to freedom of expression, people's right to protest, and it goes further to say that police will be in communication and coordinate with organizers on the ground, making sure that people can protest safely. And the last executive order makes clear that our city-owned properties cannot be used for any type of staging or immigration enforcement. We have created ICE-free zones. We will be putting up signage, and if people violate this, they will be taken to court. More importantly, what we have seen as a city is that we are in alignment with the state, with the county, with community, with leaders of all backgrounds to reject the immigration attacks that we are seeing today. I want to thank the rapid responders, all of the community organizers, and every Chicagoan that has stood up in this moment to do what they can, whether it's walking children to school, buying groceries for people who are afraid to leave their homes, assisting people in their time of need when they are being pulled out of their cars and kidnapped. We are seeing our people, our Chicagoans, come together to make our city as welcoming and safe as it can be. If you want to report ICE activity or if you need assistance, please call the Family Support Network hotline. It's 1-855-435-7693 from the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. And you can visit chicago.gov/protect to see more of the resources that our city has developed. Know Your Rights, Family Preparedness, and all of the executive orders. Thank you.
And I know that you're not getting the spelling of our names, but we do have a sheet with all the names and the spelling, but also for added and for other speakers, can you please spell your name? Next, we're going to hear from Dr. Julia Bruni of the Pilsen Defense and Activists.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much to the CUFC as well as CARE Chicago for this opportunity to speak. I'll be brief. My name is Dr. Julia Bruni, B-R-U-E-N-E. I represent, I'm the medical director for Pilsen Defense and Access, which is a small mutual aid nonprofit within the Pilsen neighborhood of Chicago. Our aim and how we would like to represent ourselves is to be coordinators of wraparound care for our families and our communities who are experiencing uncertainty and fear and terror in these moments. When I mean wraparound care, I mean protection when their children are going to school. I mean food security. So we have programs for grocery distribution, making sure that people are fed, that they feel safe in going to their churches, to their places of worship, to their hospitals, to their doctor's appointments, to their children going to school. These are fundamental rights that we should be protecting, and we're here to do that. And so, one, thank you so much to all the other rapid response groups and mutual aid groups within our communities who have been coordinating together. We would like to continue that coordinated care for, again, wraparound care to make sure that our families and our communities feel safe, that they feel connected with legal aid that they need, that they're supported by their community members writ large. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate this very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we're going to hear from Crystal Gardner with the Chicago Teachers Union.
Thank you, and good morning. My name is Crystal Gardner. That's CRYSTALGARDNER. And I'm standing in solidarity with the CUFC family on behalf of Chicago Teachers Union. And as our mayor said the other day, Texas should worry about itself, right? Chicago has a higher minimum wage, we have a higher life expectancy, and we are rated higher on almost any metric. So if the Texas National Guard is worried about people, they got work to do at home. Chicago can take care of Chicago. And that's what educators were doing this morning and what they do every morning. CTU officers and members were just at North Grand High School, along with myself, talking to students and parents at drop-off. And we weren't talking about academics or school sports. Instead, we were empowering these young folks to know and defend their constitutional rights. We shouldn't have to do that, right? We should have better, more healthier conversations with our young folks. Teachers and school staff, they can't sleep through the night because of Trump's occupation of Chicago. And students aren't attending school, you know? So at this point, remote learning should definitely be strongly considered to continue protecting our students, our scholars, and their families. Don't send us the Guard, send us the food assistance that you stole away to pay for its deployment. And when the South sent fugitive slave patrols, Chicago didn't cooperate with that either. So we're sure not gonna do it now.
Come on.
These bounty hunters are going to be turned away, just like the ones that came before them. Thank you.
We're often asked, what part of illegal don't you understand? I'll tell you the part amongst many that I don't understand. When you have someone going through the system, going to a USCIS appointment, and this simply acts as a bait to then have this person be arrested and deported, or the next day be bum rushed in their own home or at their workplace as a result of them having gone through the system. And then when they are in the system again, they are sent to Arizona so that they can have an unfriendly judge potentially preside over their case rather than their own jurisdiction where they live and work. That sabotage of the system, that weaponization of the system, is the argument against that point of what part of legal or illegal don't you understand. The whole thing has to be fixed, the whole thing has to be reformed, and plugging in the gaps with militarized, uniformed men and women in our streets is not the answer. That is the work of a megalomaniac, and that's all that is. Next, we're going to hear from one of our many attorneys involved with CUFC, and that is we have here, of course, Robin Potter, who's involved in many other things, along with the Legal Advisory Board of Care Chicago. Please come forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Ahmed. My name's Robin Potter, P-O-T-T-E-R, like Harry, no relationship, unfortunately. So I address you today as a member of the Chicago United Families Coalition, which I am a member of, and on behalf of NELA, Illinois, National Employment Lawyers Association, the only legal organization representing workers. That's who our new neighbors are. They are workers, they are dads, they are moms, they are fathers, they are uncles, they are you, they are me. I just want to say and lift some stuff up to address some of the legal issues. We have, and I want to speak to the American people and the people of Chicago, stand up, fight back, join us. Have courage, do not panic. You have a right. This is an illegal occupation. Hear that, lift that up. It is illegal, stand up. Whatever you can do to fight back, and I'll talk a minute about that because I only have a few. I want to read you, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law that shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction of the equal protections of the law. Brothers and sisters, everyone watching, that's the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, and we will fight to enforce that. And so will CUFC and CARE, and we thank you for that. I am the proud granddaughter of immigrants who boasted the shores of Ellis Island over 125 years ago. And if they were turned away, like Jews were during the war by FDR, I wouldn't be here today. And so this means we stand up. I just want to, there are many pending lawsuits. One thing I want to say, the one before Her Honor today at 10:30 to enjoin the troops. What we mean when we say out there that we keep each other safe, we watch the backs of each other, our communities, our judges, and we expect you to watch ours. We hope and expect a TRO to issue today to enjoin the National Guard. We don't want ICE in our cities. It's illegal. It's an illegal occupation. And there's nothing legal about grabbing people off of the streets. I just want to say I get hundreds of calls. It's great. Everyone here does. What can we do to help? Get out there. Join your rapid response teams. It's legal. Know your rights. Give out those cards. We had another tamalero kidnapped today. Get out there. If you can't be at Broadview because you don't want to get gas, that's fine. But you can be out there. You can buy out all the tamales like Senator Andrade did this morning. Keep our people safe. That's what we mean. Keep our people safe. Go to Home Depot. Give those guys their day's wages. And as Crystal said, we have like some of the highest minimum wages in the country. Pay their wages for the day. Send them home to be safe with their children. That is legal. So know your rights. Do not open the doors. Exercise your constitutional rights to remain silent. And we hope Judge Ellis today and Judge Perry and all the others hearing these cases stand up, stand with us. We stand with you, judges, lawyers, our communities, fight back, and we will restore democracy even different and more transformed so that the civil rights of our people are protected, not with $170 billion for a terrorist organization by a 34-time convicted felon. Put that money back in our communities where we need it, where we want it, and we will do that eventually. Thank you.
So you heard it. What part of due process do you not understand is the question. We can talk legal, we can talk political, but the fact of the matter is, at the heart of what is happening is the human story. And we cannot forget that what we're dealing with is not numbers, it's not categories, it's not classifications, it's not status. It's human beings with daughters and sons and wives and husbands and grandparents and neighbors. And that seems to be the part that is ignored and intentionally erased in the narrative in the media, quite frankly, and in the coverage of this whole mess that we're facing right now. And so we want to conclude by hearing from our faith leaders and all of the great faiths of the world. They center the human being. And sometimes those who are doing what they're doing in the name of Christianity, they'll say that they're doing this. And I know nothing more unchristian than to erase the humanity of a human being. We're going to hear now from Imam Tariq Al-Amin, who is an imam at Masjid al-Taqwa, and also somebody who's in the workforce and in independent media as well.
Thank you, Ahmed. Good morning. May the peace that only God can give be upon you all, my fellow Americans, my fellow human beings. Time is not on our side. We have to be mindful that we seem to continue to be given the same test, but have not fully risen to the level of the test. And what do I mean by that? I mean that my ancestors are people who would have been apprehended seeking their freedom because it was under the color of law. It was a legal matter. Slavery was legal. And their assertion of their human right to dignity, to freedom, to liberty, to the pursuit of their own ability to contribute, and also to receive the benefit of being in community was something that was taken away from them. I say that I greet you as a fellow human being because my faith tradition says that we have not been created with our differences, but for us to abhor one another, or for us to disdain one another, but for us to find and see the value in one another. So this is a time for us to affirm the humanity, our shared humanity. This is a time for us to double down on the connection that we all have. And what we have right now, we have a system that is telling us that only some are worthy of the recognition of their humanity. Only some are worthy of the sanctity of their bonds of family. Only some have a place in community. It's already been said that we have a number of laws from a legal standpoint that are being ignored at this point right now. Due process is being ignored right now. We have people who are snatching men and women and children off of the streets. This, to me, runs akin to a time where slave patrollers did the very same thing. So I invite my fellow Americans, I invite us to remember that we are at our weakest when we are divided. We are at our strongest when we recognize our common destiny, our common purpose, our common humanity. So let us lift that up. This is the time for us to lean into that. And the very last thing I will say, for those who have taken an oath of service and they have to follow orders, weaponize incompetence. Weaponize incompetence. You may have to show up, but you don't have to, but determine how you show up. Determine how you show up. So may God continue to bless us and keep us mindful of our shared destiny, our shared responsibility to one another, and protect us from the division that disempowers us.
And last but not least, we're going to hear from Pastor Emma Lozano, who is with the Lincoln United Methodist Church and Centro Sin Fronteras. My Spanish is not great.
I think that faith leaders, we are in the fight of our life. I just want to let everyone know that I was visited by the Proud Boys in my home and in my church. Intimidation, provoking me, calling me a fake pastor, and a fake church. As faith leaders, as Christian leaders, we cannot let white supremacists hijack Jesus. We're not doing that. So therefore, we are going to continue to follow the commandments, which is love our neighbors and love each other. Soy 100% mexicana. I'm 100% mexicana. And they are, and I'm saying, fuera ICE de Chicago, fuera pues la Guardia Nacional de Chicago, hands off mi gente, hands off mi pueblo y mis barrios. And I'm doing this in the name of Jesus Christ, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I ask all faith leaders to come out and call the evil what it is. It's called white supremacy. That is evil. And we need to stand up. We're in a spiritual fight right now. This is not an ordinary fight. And we have to stand up as faith leaders, and we have to put ourselves en la brecha. We have to stand up in front of those that are being dragged out of their cars. And there's no one there to pick up their children. We have families that are walking children to school because their families are sheltering in place. And we need to stop this occupation of the city of Chicago. I thank the mayor for what he's doing, and I thank those that are standing up. But to the faith leaders, we have not done enough. And it is very clear what we're supposed to do. So I'm asking you, get out there, get in the streets, get out of the temples, get out of the churches, and get out there with the gente. Gracias.
In conclusion, I want to say two things. The first, I want to address this point of criminality that's usually evoked in the context of immigration. And there I want to say something that I think is pretty logical. Crime is crime is crime, whether you are illegal or legal, whether you're documented or undocumented. And we stand against crime. And it's not exclusive to your status. I will not feel any better If I am robbed or shot or hurt by a criminal who is an American citizen, a descendant of the Mayflower, that does not make me feel any better about the crime that I was victimized by. And likewise, hardworking families are hardworking families regardless of their status, regardless of whether they're American citizens or whether they're documented or undocumented. And so to conflate those two things very purposefully is to lie to the American people and gaslight the American people. If you are not afraid of truth, you would mention truth as it is, but you have to conflate, because that is your only way to scaremonger people into accepting the militarized authoritarian regime that you are trying to terrorize this country and the world with. The second point, we've talked a lot about what we stand against. I want to conclude by talking about what we stand for. We stand for this. What you see behind me is the reality of our community and is the promise of America. White, black, Latino, Muslim, Christian, Jew, doctors, lawyers, faith leaders, elected officials, hardworking blue-collar folks. That is our community. That is our city. That is our country. And that is what we fight for. And you will not and you cannot divide us. Thank you very much. I want to, if anybody has any questions, now's the time. Good? That's how good you guys are.